kind of precautionary? Is he a guy that's gearing up towards training camp?
Yeah, he'll be ready to go by training camp.
You continue to mix and match guys in the offensive line.
Yeah.
That's on purpose, obviously, right now to see if you can find a combination or best fit for a guy.
100%. Yeah, we're mixing all the groups. You know, we want to see guys play different positions, play with different teammates, ultimately to see what they're comfortable with, what we can ask them to do, and go out there and execute and win games.
What's your ideal timeline when you talk about generally players having their role? Like you're looking in, I mean, do you go deep into training camp with that?
Yeah.
Or do you want to?
Yeah, good question, Darren. I mean, definitely by week one, before we start practicing for week one for Washington, you want that clearly defined. And we actually just talked about it with him today in the team meeting and then on the grass. You know, everyone will have a role. That's not to say that your role can't expand or decrease too. But I think that when you clearly define people's roles, they understand it and they can be a star within their role.
Does that mean you won't have an established starting five on the offensive line until day one of week one?
Good question, Josh. Probably not.
What does that do to the continuity of having a group team?
Yeah, they'll play with, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, as we go through training camp, we'll kind of mix and match guys, but who they end up lining up with and who we're playing with starting week one, they'll have good continuity.
How's this been received by the players?
They love it.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you tell, I think in my experience, not to say this is right or wrong, but when you tell a player, hey, this is what you're good at, this is how we're going to use you, and this is what is expected, if you can get that done, we'll give you more. If you can't get that done, we'll give you less. I think they appreciate that.
You've talked with Zaven. What's his biggest challenge going out to the edge?
I think just the discipline of being consistent all the time. And, you know, he's working on some different things. Rob's working on some different things with him, and Nick and Derek, and he's doing an excellent job. But I think all our players is consistency. Do I have the consistency in my game to do what I'm coached to do and produce at a high level down after down after down?
You definitely thought for that position coming off the edge. See the quickness you want out of him?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's explosive.
How do you think all the rookies, especially the draft picks, have settled into their roles and have taken to it after obviously everything that led up to the draft?
Good. I think they're working how we want them to work, and you know, they're pretty much acclimated right now with how we do things around here. We're still in team meetings. You know, we talk to those rookies. They show up on that tape. You know what not to do. But that's a learning process for those guys, as the vets too, not just the rookies. But you know, I always say that the greatest form of learning is a mistake made really in a game, but then second best is in practice. And I think that there's a natural, you know, progression of guys getting comfortable and making certain amount of mistakes. But like we say, you know, that's expected. We don't want you to make the same mistakes twice. So that's what we're working on right now.
Colt's been able to go back out, and it seems like he's doing more and more as the weeks go by. Is he healthy enough at this point to do everything that you want at this point?
100%. He's doing great.
What are your conversations like with Colt?
Awesome. I learned a lot from Colt. You know, anytime you have an experienced quarterback that's played at a high level for that long, as a defensive guy, I'm constantly in his ear asking him things. And I value that relationship of, you know, Nick Rallis, too, is another one, good guy to ask because, you know, I say if you want to learn defense, talk to offensive coaches, offensive players, and defensive players. So he's a valuable asset for us.
What does it take to be a backup quarterback, knowing if he does start week one or however many weeks that is, that eventually you will be going back to the bench?
Yeah, I think as any backup player, you got to be ready to go at the drop of a hat and got to be able to go play winning football for us. And so I think that's not just the quarterback position, that's all positions. So they know, you know, you're one snap away from your role changing extremely quickly. And that's life in the NFL. So, and you got to be ready to accept your role and produce.
I don't know if you saw the story about Raheem Morris from the Rams who helped save a kid's life, and he credited the stuff the club had learned.
Wow, I did not hear that. That's awesome.
The CPR and all those things. Is the organization doing things?
Was it in a pool?
It was in a pool, yes. And the Seahawks sent out something that everyone on their front office has been trained in the CPR and the AED and all that. Are the Cardinals doing something?
We get training on things that we have to deal with our players on a day-to-day basis. So we haven't had pool safety training here because we don't have pools. But I feel good about if there's a problem, we can handle it.
How challenging is it to balance the patience with letting players grow through maybe those growing pains, but also hoping that they meet your expectations of what you expect them on the field?
Not challenging at all. That's coaching, and I think that there's a certain amount of emotional stability that you need as a coach. I definitely have to work on that part of my game daily because I get frustrated at times, and that's it's football. There's a human element to the game, and you got to be willing to let those guys make mistakes, correct them, and then see them get better. That's the fun part of coaching, honestly.
What has Coach Rodriguez brought to this coaching staff?
He's been awesome. We were just talking about it out there. He's got he's really cool background of. Sorry, a little allergy cold. He's from coaching different positions. I feel like that always helps position coaches because they got a different lens to not just being in the dirt with their positions, but seeing the whole picture. And just his understanding of what we're trying to get done on the defense with his position group has been a great sounding board for Nick and I. And obviously I worked with Rob for a couple of years there in Minnesota, 3 or 4 years or whatever it was. But, he came up the right way, in my opinion. He trained under some really good coaches, and he's doing an excellent job.
We asked Jalen Thompson last week who stood out on the offensive side of football. He said Michael Wilson. Have you seen anything that pops out about Wilson?
Yeah, he's getting open and he's catching it.
Have you any thoughts on the fair catch rule that was voted in?
As always, whatever rules we have to abide by in week 1, that's what we'll do.
Coach, thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
career whenever it happens as a broadcaster?
It was a 9 a.m. start out here, so I know none of y'all caught it.
Well, how's it going with the new offense, the new schemes, all the things you guys are absorbing and trying to take on?
Yeah, I think it's going okay. Not our best practice today by any means. Kind of starts with me. It's all new, right? It's very similar to things I've done in the past, but what we were doing here the last 3 years and what Drew and the offensive staff are implementing, it's all great stuff. I think everybody's fully bought in. It's just there's a learning curve, right? And that's why these reps in the off-season program are valuable. Even walkthroughs, jog-throughs, high days, low days. Like we split them up where we do more full speed tempo on one day, and then we kind of scale it back a little bit and we ramp it back up. So these are all sometimes first times you've been doing this, right? For O-line, receivers, quarterbacks. But I think overall, like the meetings are going really well, and we just got to be able to absorb all this information and work on the things that are new. That way when we get into training camp, it's the second time we're hearing it, third time we're hearing it, and it flows a little bit smoother.
JG said the install is just about all in offensively. Do you feel like that? I mean, so that would be a lot to take on.
There's a lot. Yeah, they're putting a lot on our plates, and the operation is just a little bit different, right? Something we hadn't done a whole lot here, which is good. Both are good. Like there's no that was bad. It's just new for all of us, and I think the coaches are doing a great job. Drew's doing a great job. Izzy's good in our room as the quarterback's coach, and different footwork. There's just a lot of things that you're working on, and it's all valuable though. It's all very, very good stuff.
When you go through something like this personally, you've obviously gone through a number of offenses in your career. So is it easier for you compared to somebody else, you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're right that I've been through a lot of systems, seen a lot of football. What we're doing now is very similar to the way that I played most of my career. And so I think, that helps the transition. But there's still a lot of things that Drew's asking me to do that might be new or something I've never done before that you have to work on. And I sort of put myself into the shoes of some of the guys that have been here, right? We're huddling, we're using cadence, we're making mic points, we're doing a lot of new things. And, because of that, there's a lot of mistakes, and there's a lot of, I thought he was going to be here and he was here. But that's all good things in the off-season program where you can go back and watch it and detail it and just, really get much more efficient on offense. But I feel like the new faces that are here have done a great job. I feel like just us as a unit when we go out on the field, we're making mistakes, but they're all correctable and they're all, we come back in and watch them and go back out and practice. It's a good flow. And I think the whole system that Coach Gannon and his staff have done as far as how we're going to practice, what the expectations are, I think it's been really good.
You mentioned new faces, and you mentioned Drew specifically. What about Wolford, the new quarterbacks coach? How has that been with the guy who hasn't coached that long?
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's smart. He knows the offense, because he was with Drew last year. So he has answers to all of our questions, and he's running a good meeting. And for me, a lot of it is out on the practice field, right? It's okay. We drew this up. I know what the play is, but it's good versus too high. What about single high? What about pressure? What about, man coverage? There's a lot of second layer, third layer type decisions that you have to make, and that's where you just try to get everyone on the same page, and that's what the off-season program's for.
How would you describe his style of coaching with you guys, how he interacts and teaches?
Who's that? Is he? Great. He's got a great demeanor. He's very calming. He knows what it's supposed to look like. He'll tell you if it's not right, and but we'll correct it, and don't make the second time you see that, make the same mistake. And he's been really good.
Well, you mentioned the scheme and all that stuff. How about just the daily schedule and practice plans? Is that different too? I mean, everything's new. Is that kind of stuff different too?
Yeah, there's listen, I've been through a lot of different systems, and it flows a little bit different, but it's all still football. And I mean, I like what Coach Gannon and the whole staff have done. Like, our practice, we're on the field, we practice, come back in, we meet, and all the football stuff is still football, right? It's a little bit different times you're out there, a little different. We have the high day, we call them, green days and red days. A lot of coaching on the grass, which I like, and it's flowing good.
What have you seen out of Toon lately, since he's gotten here?
Yeah, Clayton's doing a good job. He really is. It's hard on all the rookies, right? Michael today, I thought, I had a couple of times I had him. I'm like, what? So it's just you're learning, right? And there's 2 or 3 plays. It's like, wow, great, like, dude, that was a great read, great check down, whatever. And then there's some plays where you're like, let's go watch the tape and we'll talk through it. But we're all having those. I had a couple today. So it's a new system. The good thing for the rookies is that they're learning it just like we are, right? We don't know anything that they don't know. And Clayton's done a really nice job coming in here, and he's getting a lot of reps in the off-season program, which is good for him. I mean, I think at times we're all probably spinning in our heads a little bit, like, we're using different cadences and the different formations and different shifts and motions that are all going to be part of what we do. It's the first couple of times you do it, it's always a little dicey.
You're throwing again. AG just said, you look like you're back to 100%. All we really know is that you were nicked up at the end of last season. What exactly were you dealing with recovering from?
Yeah, I had some elbow stuff, just kind of been taking care of it all off season, and they've sort of ramped me back up into being able to do some team drills and throws, and so it's been good. Like, just been focusing on that, and I feel pretty good.
Well, you mentioned at the end of last season, after Kyler got hurt, we were asking about potentially starting this season, and you punted then, rightfully so. But I'm just wondering, have you thought any much more about that, about being potentially the Week 1 starter, and does that change your mentality at all?
No, I don't think it changes my mentality. I think for me, my number one priority is learning the system. Right? It's new, it's different. There's things as a quarterback that you got to know that other people don't have to know, and you ultimately, with the ball in your hands, make everything right. So there's a lot of thinking going on out on the field, and a lot of, like, first time I'm seeing plays, okay, like, incomplete or not, or complete, or a touchdown, or whatever, I go back and watch, across the board. Did he win? Did he win? Like, just understanding it and processing it. And then, in my mind, like, I don't know if Kyler's going to be healthy or not. I think we all certainly hope that he is. But if he's not, I'm 100% going to be ready to go.
What's your overall thought on the whole receiver group, especially now with DeAndre not going to be here?
Yeah, I mean, I love Hop. Hop and I had a great relationship, and to lose a guy like that is hard, right? He's a playmaker, and you love to have him on the field with you. And this is the NFL. Like, I've been playing a long time. You see a lot of different things, and I think we have a core group of receivers in there that are hungry to make plays, and they're working really hard. And we trust that upstairs they're going to have everybody ready to go and the best players out there. And then it's on us to go out and execute and play well and find ways to win.
Cole, with the injury at the end of last year, did that lead to any decision as to whether or not you wanted to keep playing?
Are you talking about the concussion, or are you just talking about the elbow? Or yeah. I mean, I think at this point in your career, when you played this long, I think there's always an evaluation process that you go through in the off seasons, and I felt like the orthopedic guys here did a great job with me. I think that the training staff did a really nice job. And we all put together a great plan. And look, I think I told you guys last year, like, opportunities to play in this league don't grow on trees. And I understand the situation that we're in, and I still want to play, and I still feel confident that I can play. We're working really hard to learn this new system, this new scheme, and the reps that we get right now are so valuable as we go through this program and mini camp next week, and as we get into training camp, I feel like my body's just ramping up to be ready for another season.
It seems like it would have been easier for you to walk away after last season. New coaching change, like just easy to kind of right up in the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
What were the conversations like at home when you wanted to come back?
Like with my wife.
With the kids.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I told my kids when I retire we can get a dog. So we're not getting a dog right now.
Cole, how much value is having Yelda on the offensive line, especially being a center in the Cleveland offense, off in charge of making calls? How valuable is that to you to be able to kind of rap with him about stuff?
Yeah, it's been really good. Spent a lot of time with Yeldon watching like the Browns tape and just out of practice, lots of communication. He does a really nice job. Obviously, he knows the protections. He knows the mic points. He knows what we're trying to attack when we call different runs or passes. And he's been a great sounding board for me. He didn't play a whole bunch in Cleveland, but he played a lot, especially late in the season. He played different positions on the offensive line. But he's doing a really nice job at center and really helping me understand, okay, we got a lot more on our plates from a protection standpoint, and he's been great. And for me, it makes you feel pretty comfortable, right? It's kind of like having Rodney out there. I'm not comparing those two guys, but Rodney was the same way. He had this demeanor about him that, I'm gonna make it right up front. If you see something else, that's on you, right? And I kind of feel the same way in the operation with Yeldon.
Going back to what Josh asked earlier about the broadcasting, when you went into that, did you seek any advice out, or did you just kind of go in there and wing it, so to speak?
I did seek out a lot of advice from a lot of different guys. There's a lot of color guys that I'm friends with, and I did a bunch of practicing just over the years, like not every day or anything like that. But I felt comfortable enough. They've been asking me to do this for a while, but I felt comfortable to be able to go out there and get some live reps under my belt, and I thought it went all right. First game was. I felt like I'd prepared a lot. What you can't prepare for is like some of the technical difficulties you'll have, or if your producer is in your ear, like as you're talking, like how to handle that. Like, but the team that I worked with at NBC, they were awesome. They were great. Like made friends, and Paul Burmeister was great. He kind of helped me along at times. We had some good nonverbal communications, so it was fun. I actually enjoyed it. I think I got better the second time, and but my focus is in in this building and what we're trying to do and learn, and so now I got 2 of those games under my belt, and we'll see what happens. I may never get a call back. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the producer's headset doesn't cut off like the OC's does.
No, I think what I learned is when you do your opening monologue, right, and then you kind of turn around and the ball is kicked off. Like there's no break at that point. Like, when I'm playing football, I can come back and get some water. You talk to your coaches. You kind of watch the iPad. You go back. And as soon as the timeout hits, it's like the producer's in your ear, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna throw up these 5 graphics. Colt, you take the first 2. We're gonna talk about this quarterback. We're gonna talk about this last play. Hey, grab the telestrator. 3, 2. I'm like, what? Right? You just got to be. I had like a 2-minute bathroom break at halftime, and that was it.
You mentioned the concussion. How difficult was that last year when it looked like you were going to play in that game, and then all of a sudden on Friday it didn't happen?
Yeah. That concussion was not bad physically. Like, I know I was knocked out. I don't want to, but I recovered from that very quickly. And then I think that it was just some decisions made that were kind of out of my hands. And, I was going to practice and I was going to play if I was allowed to play. And we just it just was that way. But I haven't had any, repercussions from the concussion. Like I feel totally fine from that. I feel very healthy and good.
Kyler's been out of practice, he's been rehabbing here. I mean, what's his demeanor been like, in the quarterback's room and what he's able to do at this point?
Yeah, he's been great in the meetings. Again, listen, like this is new for all of us, right? It's especially new for Kyler. Just the total operation, right? From the moment you get the play call in your head, like our thought process, right? Like last year we would just signal it all out and flow like that. Now, it's just a different operation, and I think that part's been new for everybody, and Kyler's done a great job with that. He's in the meetings. We talk a lot. We communicate. He asks good questions. Essentially the only thing he's not doing is going out on the field, right? He's doing all his rehab and getting better.
You played in the prior system basically since he was in 8th grade, going to kind of a new system. You being in it right now, what do you think that learning curve is going to be like for someone who's not getting these reps?
Yeah, I think it's just new, right? I think he's going to be just fine. I think Drew is so far been really dialed in on understanding where we are as a quarterback group, as an offense, and helping us understand here's what I want, here's the expectations, and that's all been very clear, and it's been a really good thing for all of us, and Kyler's been in all the meetings and doing a great job with it.
James Conner talks about how much he's looking forward to running the ball this year. Yeah. So in terms of just the style, the mentality, the approach of this offense, how different is it going to be?
Yeah, I think James will be good in this system. There's a lot more. We stayed in 10 personnel and 11 personnel a lot, right, with Cliff, and that was sort of our identity. I think here, we'll implement more 2 tight end sets and running the football and having more checks and alerts and things like that will get James going. Hopefully, get him in the right looks. And the offensive line has done a tremendous job this offseason. I think that's been the best part of everything is Clayton has got those guys dialed into what we're doing, who we're blocking, different fronts. We're seeing a bunch from Nick in the defense. So. The offensive line has done a really, really nice job this offseason with all the new stuff, and I'm really pleased with where they're at.
You mentioned the tight ends. How much have you seen more comfortable Trey McBride where he is now as opposed to a year ago?
Yeah, Trey's doing great. Trey's a guy that he's fast for a receiver, right? For a tight end. So you can line him up outside. You can pull him back in the backfield. I think he's a guy you can do a lot with. He can handle a bunch. He's getting a lot of different looks, right? Because Zach is rehabbing his knee, and Trey's has had a good offseason.
What's been the biggest difference you've noticed with just the new regime, new team, maybe a new energy amongst the group? What have you noticed personally?
I think that as a whole, as a unit, right, the defense is learning a new system too, right? Everybody's really in the books. Everybody is dialed in the meetings. I think that Coach Gannon and Monty and the coordinators, their plan to get us ready for week 1 has been very clear, right? Our installs, in the meeting rooms, taking them out to the field. We're going to come back and coach them and correct them. We'll change some things. We'll fix some things. I just think everybody has kind of gone back to school. Right, and it hasn't been that pretty out on the practice field, to be honest, both sides of the ball. But it's all coachable and correctable, and I think everybody has really bought in to what we're trying to do, and I'm excited about it. I really am.
What dog does your kid want? Is the puppy? What kind of dog are they hoping to get?
Well, so my 2 older daughters always draw. They're very creative, and they draw pictures, and they'll leave them on my sink in my room. Some with spots on them, some with whatever. My brothers have dogs. All my friends. Kyler has a dog. Everybody, they see dogs all the time, and they keep asking, well, why can't we get a dog? I said, because I'm not taking care of it. Right? I have a job. I don't. It's until you show me that y'all can handle this responsibility. It's a dog is cute, a dog is great, be fun, but I'm not going to clean up after it all the time. They're oh, we will. I'm when I retire, you guys have a dog. And so from the moment I've said that, my son every day is like, so are you going to retire or are you going to play? I was like, what do you want me to do? He said, well, I want you to play. Well, then we'll wait for a dog. I'm like, I kind of want a dog. You know, so it goes back and forth. It's a funny joke at home.
What kind of dog would you want?
I grew up with labs. I love labs. They're just an American dog, you know.
Cole, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Al.
How's it going for you so far?
It's been lovely. You know, get to know everybody, you know, coaches, players, staff. But it's been lovely. You know, been taken in like family, so I'm enjoying it a lot.
100 degrees, okay, lovely.
Yeah. I played in Houston a little bit, so the humidity, I'd rather deal with the dry heat than the humidity any day.
This is the first chance we've had to talk with you since you came aboard. What was it about the Cardinals that drew you?
Really with JG and Nick, you know, talking to them guys, and you know, I just see the vision, you know, and where they came from too. You know, they understand a lot about football and what's going on, especially for my position. So I really seen the vision and what they were buying into. So I really liked what they had going.
It sounded like the Cowboys wanted you back. Like, did you feel that? Like, I mean, like, was this a hard decision?
It was at the beginning, but you know, you can't make an emotional decision in this, you know, in this business league. You know, I think this was the best fit for me and my family and what I got going on. So, you know, I got to put the emotions to the side and really figure out what's best for you.
Are there any similarities to what this defense is compared to where you're coming from?
I think it's different. You know, it's honestly a lot different. You know, up front we just get a little more freedom to you know, play forward and you know, do what a D lineman does. Take doubles off. It's things within the scheme that really helps us out, and that's beneficial to me for help me make plays. So it makes a lot of sense for me to be here.
Any of the new teammates catch your eye right away with just their abilities?
I really haven't got to see too much, you know, just looking at the guys up front with me, just watching them and stuff. But it's a lot of great talent here. You know, it's a lot of guys that can really make plays. So I think they did their part in bringing the right people in, the right fits and everything.
With your experience, does that instantly make you a leader?
I think so initially. You know, playing behind guys like JJ, you know, back in Houston, and, you know, Marcus Lawrence in Dallas, you know, learning from them guys and finally getting to a point to where I'm the oldest in the room. You know, I really take pride in making sure we all get better, you know, including myself. But, you know, just taking a leadership role and really trying to get the young guys to follow is, you know, what I take pride in.
Is there anything that you took away from JJ and just like his leadership ability?
I mean, you know, first and foremost, his work ethic, you know, but also just, you know, just showing the young guys that, you know, I'm not just going to tell you to do it and I not do it. You know, he was the ones that you seen put in the work, so you could take a criticism from a guy who goes out there and put it online. So I try to be that, you know, try to go out there and put the work in, show him I'm not just talking, like I do this, you know.
Did you pick his brain at all about when you were thinking about signing?
Not really, but he had hit me up once I had, you know, signed. But, you know, I had one of my former, we played back in the Shrine Bowl in high school, but he told me about AZ and how he liked it, so that kind of gave me a good perspective.
When you come to a new team, is there anything you try to do personally, say, do actions to try to acclimate quickly with the new teammates? How does that process work for you?
I'm a really big fan of like camaraderie. Like I feel like you know, the more I know you, you know, the better I'm going to play for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like a brotherhood. And that's what I kind of wanted to bring in. Like, we all got to be family if we're going to win. So I got to get to know these guys and what they're good at, what they're not, or what they can't handle, what they can't handle. So it's like I try to get in and, you know, really try to bring things in, you know, together.
I don't know if expectations are super high for your position right now as a unit. Like, do you guys talk about that? Do you care about that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like in any team, like, it starts with the guys up front. You know, we got to take pride in our job, and that's, you know, getting to the quarterback and stopping the run, you know. And a lot of great teams, you know, really have great defensive linemen. So it's like, I really believe solely in, like, you know, it starts up front.
All right. Thank you. Thanks,
All right, appreciate y'all.
How's it going? Good.
So you plan on getting, 25 sacks this season? Is that the goal?
I hope. Yeah, that'd be crazy. No, definitely want to get after the quarterback a little more than I did last year. But, yeah, a lot of sacks would be nice. Fact in the queue is always a good thing on defense.
How do you like playing on the edge?
I mean, it's similar to how I played on it last year during certain packages, and then, playing off ball on some too. Working more of an edge, not really edge aspect, but outside linebacker aspect is helpful. But I also, since I dropped so much last year, and then some of the guys who haven't dropped a lot because they kind of were just always rushing when they're in, they were going. Being able to teach them and talk to them about what kind of routes are we going to get versus post safety, split safety. What are we going to get? This is how it's going to work. How we're going to pass things off. Where our eyes should be. Those things, all the reads and keys. Helping them do that is nice too. So then everyone kind of has a feel for each other when you step out there. You don't have to really be like guide a receiver all the way back to make sure this guy has it. He's going to be there, type of deal. So it's nice.
Do you feel like you're going to have a lot different role this year, or are you just getting into your role differently a little bit this offseason, but there's going to be a lot of similarities?
I mean, I don't think anyone really knows, but I would say it's definitely different than preparing for last season, but also the defensive philosophies have changed, the defensive schemes have changed, important, some positions are, I wouldn't say more important than each other, but they have harder downs in certain situations than it was last year. So it's something that we're all still trying to learn and trying to figure out and navigate. So it's going well so far.
What's the biggest difference coming off the edge compared to being inside?
Coming off the edge compared to inside, I mean, the edge, you're on the line of scrimmage, so you don't see as much. So, whenever you're off the ball, you kind of have a grasp for more of like what's going on wholeheartedly and seeing like kind of everything. When you're off the ball, you can kind of see the, spacing of wide receivers, tight ends, but on the edge, you can also see how far is the tight end off, is he going to cut back? Is he going to stay on the ball, go this way? A lot of like each aspect has, its ups and downs, so it's different. But it's I played, like I said, last year in our 5-down stuff, I played off the edge as well. I think it was like 30% of the time. So it's nothing crazy new to me now. Those downs, it was more first and second down. Doing it on third down now would be different, obviously.
Did you prepare for this season differently physically? Were you gain weight?
No, I'm still right around so last year I tried to cut weight, being in the game the entire time, wearing the green dot, playing. I think I played like 99% of snaps overall, so it was like a lot of play, a lot of workload. Try to keep my weight lower then, so now I'm kind of more back to what I was at, I guess, before that, so like 263, 265, right around there.
How's it been working with Rodriguez?
He's awesome, yeah. He has a lot of cool concepts. He's very, he has his philosophy, and as long as we abide by the philosophy and like what he wants us to do, he still accommodates to like what, my skill set is compared to like if Maje's skill set or Cam's, you know what I mean? Even Dennis. So everyone's built differently. We're not the same. We're not all twins in there. We all don't look the same. So everyone's skill set's different, but as long as we keep the philosophy the same, we'll all be fine, when it comes to, how he's grading us and what we're doing.
Have you looked at yourself as in your previous years, whether it was college or first in the NFL, as a pass rusher? Did you wish you got to do more of that? Like, kind of how do you see that part of your game?
Well, yeah, no, in college it was a little different because we ran a really odd defense. It was like a 3-3-5, so, we had 5 DBs on the field at all times. But in the league compared to last year and now, I would say, I don't know. It's different. Yeah, the philosophies are different of this defense, so it's hard to understand unless I sit here and tell you all those things, which I can't. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all our secrets.
Do you watch a lot of film from the Philly team last year and see players like on the field? Like
yeah, so we watch a lot of it. So there's different positions, depending on situationally what it is, depending on what the offense wants to do. And like last year, I can move around in different positions all the time. Up on the line, back off the ball. Maybe inside, maybe doing all kinds of stuff. So it's it's more of like a number count thing than anything. So it's something we just try and confuse people with. It's nothing crazy. Everyone does it, but yeah.
How's it been without JJ and the impact that he had, especially?
Well, I still talk to JJ for examples because, I still haven't seen nearly as much as he has. So I still tell him all the stuff that's going on. And, he gives me the scoop on what he thinks. I try and, formulate it to how I understand it and how I should go about handling situations. But he's very understanding. He still helps me out quite a bit. I talk to him if I have any questions or anything like that. So, but yeah, I haven't seen him, too much since he's been gone. It's pretty crazy.
Have you studied any edge pass rushers? Just kind of get tips.
Yeah, I mean, we study, so within the film room, we kind of study everyone. I think, golly, I can't think of his name. But, we do. So in film. So it's not really a pass rusher. It's kind of like what they're doing, like what is the flavor of the season. Each year, offenses, defensive, pass rushers, DBs, quarterbacks, they all have a tendency, like the league is kind of trending to right now, what's working right now. It's kind of weird how that happens. And then it gets shut down and they switch to something else. So it's kind of like, as long as it falls in, like we were saying earlier, like, we call it philosophies of pass rushing. As long as we, stay within that, we're pretty open to everything. Yeah.
Zaven, how are you feeling about how things are going now? New coaching staff.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think it's nice. It's a very different vibe in the building. Guys are really bought in. Guys are here all the time. It's guys are held, hot, like with a lot of accountability and stuff like that. They, they feel pressure, and I think that's a good thing, for everyone. You can't walk in because it's the NFL. Everyone is trying to put food on the table, on this team and other teams. So you're not just competing with the guys you're practicing with, it's everyone in the league. So you got to really come into work every day. And I feel like that's the mindset that it's been. And we have good team camaraderie. It's really gelling well. No, big fights or anything like that. And if so, it's just, it's dead right there. So it's really nice.
How's it going with working out with kind of Zeke and those guys standing up for off-ball linebackers?
Yeah, working out with them, understanding their philosophies and stuff is nice too. But that's almost like the hard transition is understanding, what is it we're trying to do from the on-ball perspective to the off-ball perspective. How are we reading these things compared? And then once you understand it, you kind of get the fit of the whole defense. So it's nice working with all of them. And obviously I've worked with Zeke multiple times. It's like KY, Josh Woods, and all of them, trying to understand what they think and what they say and how they're seeing things. And we all just, agree on something, a common goal. So.
Zaven, you were doing some one-on-one work with Rodriguez early on. Just what's the relationship like, and just what were you guys doing out there?
Yeah, so right there, I think it was right there before warm-ups. So basically just like, things that I was going to him seeing, when I was coming off the edge. So it was just, basic hand work, body posture, stuff like that. And then talking about, I keep bringing it up, but our philosophies of how we want to do certain things, what should we do? Where should our hips be? Where should our eyes be? How should our chest be? High, low? What should we be looking at? And just going over those things before practice. So then, when I get to practice, I don't do 1 to 3 reps and then get into it and be like, oh, I'm finally getting into it. Just need to get to practice and be rolling, ready to go.
Do you feel like learning some of this stuff, you're back like a rookie kind of feel to it? Or
No, not like a rookie kind of a feel. Rookie kind of a feel was like, speed, philosophies, what I mean? I understand now basically what the defense is trying to do. When you're a rookie, you don't understand quite. Like what is, when we're playing a West Coast offense compared to someone else, a gap scheme offense versus just, a stretch team. What are they trying to do on offense? So that's kind of the things I already know now. And then obviously like route concepts from being off the ball so much. So it's easy for me to formulate and do all that stuff from on the ball position. We did that a lot last year in the first and second down stuff. I did it against San Fran and all them. Yeah, don't go back and watch those games. Those are a little rough, I know. But still, it's still the same. So it's nice. But, still having some bumps and bruises. Yeah, learning some stuff because I haven't done it all the time, but it's nice.
Was it like going against Paris Johnson Jr.? Early insights on him?
Yeah, so Paris is really good. Yeah, he's got great feet, strong dude, very long. But yeah, it's nice going against him. If get one up on him every once in a while, I was like, yeah, it's the league. It's what it is. But he's a great athlete, man. He's a good dude too. He knows his stuff. Try and give him tips on not giving certain things away because that was that was my thing playing. You know, if I'm man on man on the running back, and I was like, you know, my rookie year, I just stare at the dude, right? So that guy knows I have him, so you don't have to stay in. He just get out. You know, you got to play around with people mentally too. The game's 90% mental. So I was like, just keep your eyes down. I was talking to Trey McBride too about that. They canned or did some play, and all three guys on the line just looked at me. I was like, well, I know you're coming to me now. So it's easy. It's easy to alert stuff like that. And see, that's stuff like you don't know as a rookie. You're just like, okay, why are these three guys looking at me? So, but now, you know, I just told the tackle, like, hey, it's coming this way. So it's easy. You know what I mean? And just trying to formulate and tell those guys, like, this is what pros that have been out on the field, they're going to see that and they're going to know. So you got to try and hide that, because if you give them a one-up on that, they got you. That's how it is. It's the league. So.
How would you describe how Coach Rodriguez is as a teacher?
Yeah, so he's more of a hands-on teacher rather than, you know what I mean. He does really well. Like he spends a lot of time on like making stuff for us, like voiceovers, all kinds of stuff. Like he'll send us texts all the time. I mean, it'll be early in the evening or late at night. And he'll be like, hey, I just sent this through. Look at it tomorrow morning. Look at this and that. And he's, I mean, obviously understanding. He'll be like, yeah, I sent it to you too late at night. He's a great teacher, great coach. He spends a lot of time on like making sure we understand concepts and how we're going to do certain things. And he also says if he missed something, he'd be like, oh yeah, you know, he'll tell the guys like, I missed it, teach them that. So it's nice too. You know what I mean? You're not like, man, you know, we weren't taught this. Like he takes it for us if he forgets to tell us something. So it's nice.
What is it that you enjoy most about a new philosophy, new coaching staff, and what do you think is one of the biggest challenges of that?
Yeah, so like the new coaching staff, obviously you like come in and you're just like, you're used to doing something all the time. Like for me, like the first day I walked into the team meeting room and I just had like a bowl of eggs or something. Like that was just normal. You know what I mean? The next day I walked in, my number was blasted on the screen. And I was like, why is my number, like just number 25, why was it on the screen? He's like, Collins eating in the first team meeting of the day. He's like, get here early. This is JG. He's like, get here early, 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes earlier, you finish your food. You know what I mean? We're trying to talk about defensive stuff and, you know, offensive philosophies, team philosophies, defensive philosophies, all in the team meeting so everyone gets a grasp on each other's knowledge. And you're over there, you know, eating. You're not paying attention. I was like, okay, that makes sense. So that's the new stuff. Like, that's the hard stuff, you know. You're trying to break old habits. Old habits die hard. But, you know, understanding and just, like, committing to this new staff and just being like, hey, you know, there's nothing you can do now. You just got to commit to them and let's try and win. That's the most fun part.
You team meetings prior.
Yeah, you just take a snack or something. Yeah, no one's taking snacks to team meetings. No one's taking snacks to no meetings. Yeah, everyone's in the team meal room. Yeah.
Did you get any off-season home trips in?
So this off season, I did not. I went on a few, but nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Last year during the season, during the bye week, we went to South Texas. I got a nil guy. If you guys have never seen that, look up a nil guy. It's a crazy Asian, from Asia. And then they brought him to South Texas a long time ago. Got one of those, and then we got a bunch of elk in New Mexico during the Thursday night game, I believe. Yeah. It was just in New Mexico. I had to take a trip over, but got it done. So.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.